When we begin to understand the true force of the words we speak, we come to realize that our lives and even our bodies are being shaped moment by the language that flows from our mouths. Words are not empty sounds that disappear into the air. They are carriers of energy, frequency, and power. Every syllable, every phrase that we release has an effect, not just on the atmosphere around us, but also on the inner workings of our body. The body listens more intently than we often realize. It takes in those spoken messages and begins to respond in agreement with them. When you declare strength, your body aligns with strength. When you declare sickness, your body bends toward weakness. This is why what you confess consistently becomes the reality you experience over time, because the words you speak become instructions to your mind, your emotions, and your very cells. Think for a moment about how the body reacts when someone constantly says, "I'm tired," "I'm weak," or "I feel like I'm getting sick." Those words are signals sent directly into the subconscious, and the subconscious, in turn, begins to orchestrate the body's functions to match that confession. Instead of fighting for energy and vitality, the body gives permission to fatigue and opens the door for symptoms to become more visible. The opposite is also true. When you speak out words like, "I am full of life," "I am strong," or "my body is recovering quickly," you are giving new orders to your subconscious and sending new patterns for the body to follow. Even if you feel weak in the moment, your confession sets in motion a process of alignment that begins to rewire your nervous system, shift your thoughts, and awaken cells that respond to the vibration of life-filled speech. This is not something mystical or detached from reality. It is grounded in how our mind-body connection truly works. The human body is a remarkable creation designed to heal, restore, and repair itself constantly. But this process is accelerated or slowed down based on what we affirm daily. If we flood our system with negative words, we are essentially planting weeds in the soil of our health. Those weeds grow, choke life, and limit the potential of wholeness that resides within us. But when we flood ourselves with positive, life-giving confessions, we are planting seeds of health, vitality, and energy. With time, those seeds take root and bear fruit. The body thrives when it is spoken to with words of encouragement, hope, and healing. Imagine a person who rises each morning, and the first words from their lips are, "I am alive with energy. Every cell of my body is functioning perfectly. I am walking in wholeness and vitality." Even before breakfast, that person has already set their body on a trajectory for health. Those words will echo in the subconscious throughout the day, reminding the body what direction to move in. On the other hand, someone who wakes up and sighs, "I feel so drained. I don't think I can make it through today," has already sabotaged their energy before the day begins. Both people may face the same physical reality, but the one who chooses empowering speech is commanding their body to align with life, while the other is commanding their body to shrink under the weight of weakness. The power of words can be seen even in the smallest reactions of the body. Say to yourself with conviction, "I am strong," and you will feel a surge of energy. Speak, "I am weak," and you will sense your body deflate. This happens almost instantly because your body takes your words seriously. It doesn't know the difference between truth and a lie. It only knows what you tell it. That is why consistency in confession is so crucial. If you speak health one day and sickness the next, Your body is receiving conflicting instructions. It is like giving one command to move forward and another to move backward. It results in stagnation. But when you are consistent in declaring life, your body eventually yields to that consistency and begins to shift in the direction of healing. Throughout history, great thinkers, healers, and leaders have recognized this truth. They understood that language shapes experience, and experience shapes destiny. Your words are the most immediate tools you have to alter your state of being. If you desire healing, you must become intentional with every phrase you utter. The idle words you speak about your health, your energy, and your strength are not idle at all. They are active forces shaping the chemistry of your body. Choosing to guard your tongue, to discipline it, so that it aligns with the wholeness you desire, is one of the most powerful steps you can take toward transformation. The reality is that life and death truly reside in the tongue. If you continually release life, you create an environment where healing is natural. If you continually release death, you create an environment where decay accelerates. You don't have to be a victim of circumstances or feelings. You can step into the role of director by speaking words that shape your reality. Every confession you make is either a step closer to healing or a step deeper into sickness. That is why it is vital to speak deliberately, intentionally, and persistently in alignment with the life you want to see manifest in your body. Healing does not begin on the outside, it always begins on the inside. When a person waits for their circumstances or their body to give them permission to believe, they end up trapped in a cycle of delay and disappointment. Faith-filled declarations break that cycle. They allow you to speak what you want to see, not just what you currently feel. This is the secret of transformation: to call things as though they already are, to give voice to the inner conviction before the physical evidence arrives. Your words are not meant to be passive reflections of what you see in the mirror. They are creative tools designed to shape what the mirror will one day reveal. When you take hold of this principle, you understand that confession is not a desperate attempt to convince yourself of something untrue, but rather it is the act of releasing the unseen reality that is already present in a higher dimension into the visible, physical realm. Think about the way a builder approaches a construction site. He does not wait for the building to appear before he lays out the blueprint. He speaks about the rooms, the design, the materials long before the foundation is poured. He gives shape to what does not yet exist in physical form, and because of his unwavering commitment to the plan, what once existed only in imagination becomes tangible reality. Healing confessions work in the same way. When you speak words of health, wholeness, and vitality, you are laying the blueprint for your body to follow. It may not yet look or feel that way, but with persistence, your body will conform to the pattern you consistently declare. Your words of faith act like seeds planted in the soil of your subconscious mind. That soil does not discriminate between positive or negative seeds. It will grow whatever you plant. If you sow seeds of fear and weakness, that is what will take root and flourish. If you sow seeds of strength and recovery, your body will gradually align with those declarations. This is why consistency is vital. You cannot plant seeds of health one day and dig them up the next with words of doubt. Faith-filled declarations require discipline. They require you to hold to your confession, even when nothing seems to change. It is in that tension, when your body looks the same, but your words are declaring something different. That transformation begins to take shape. Belief and confession are inseparably linked. To believe something in your heart, but never give it a voice, is to keep it locked away, unable to influence your reality. Faith is released through words. When you speak your belief, you activate its power. The act of speaking makes your faith tangible. It gives it form and sends it into motion. The more you speak, the stronger your conviction becomes. Your words reinforce your inner belief until doubt has no room to linger. Each declaration builds momentum, creating a powerful current that pulls your body toward the reality of wholeness. It is easy to speak words that match your current feelings, but that is not how transformation takes place. The body may ache, symptoms may persist, but if you only confess what you see and feel, you will stay locked in that condition. The power of faith-filled declarations is that they transcend present circumstances. They create a bridge from where you are to where you desire to be. Every time you speak, "I am whole," "I am strong," "I am healed," you are strengthening that bridge. The more you walk across it in your mind and in your speech, the sooner your physical reality will match the declaration. There is also a psychological dimension to this practice. The human brain responds to repetition. What you repeat becomes what you believe, and what you believe shapes your habits, your emotions, and even your physiology. This is why people who speak negatively over their health often find themselves deteriorating more quickly. They have programmed their subconscious to accept decline as normal. In contrast, those who saturate their thoughts and words with life-giving declarations build a different program, one that expects recovery, renewal, and strength. The subconscious then begins to align the body's systems to follow that expectation. Many people underestimate the influence of their words because they look for instant, dramatic results. But just as seeds take time to sprout and grow, so do faith-filled declarations. Each word is like a drop of water on dry ground. Over time, the ground softens, life begins to break through, and what once seemed barren becomes fertile with growth. The same principle applies to healing. Each declaration is a deposit of life. Each statement of faith is nourishment for the body's capacity to recover. Eventually, the accumulation of those words shifts the internal environment so powerfully that outward change becomes inevitable. Faith-filled declarations are not about ignoring reality. They are about creating a new reality. They do not deny symptoms. They declare a higher truth that transcends symptoms. When you consistently align your words with wholeness, you send a clear signal to your body that it must rise to that level. The cells of your body are designed to respond to intention and direction, and the clearest direction they receive comes through your consistent speech. This is why healing confessions are so transformative. They are not just empty affirmations, they are instructions, commands, and blueprints that your body recognizes and obeys. When you make the choice to live by this principle, you stop waiting for your body to dictate your belief. Instead, you allow your belief to dictate what your body will become. Faith-filled declarations put you in the position of authority, reminding you that you are not a passive observer of your health, but an active creator of it. Every word spoken in alignment with wholeness is a step toward making that unseen reality visible, until the body itself can no longer resist the force of what has been consistently declared over it. The mind and body are inseparably connected, and what flows into the subconscious mind eventually manifests in the physical body. Most people live unaware of how their repeated words are programming the inner system that governs how they feel, how they recover, and how they function. The subconscious is like fertile soil. It cannot resist what is planted in it. Whether you are planting seeds of fear, disease, weakness, or planting seeds of life, healing, and strength, that soil will yield exactly what it has been given. This is why the practice of consistent healing confessions is not a small matter. It is not about shallow affirmations or wishful thinking. It is about deliberately training the subconscious mind with repeated truth until the body has no choice but to align itself with what has been impressed upon it. When a person speaks negative words long enough, the subconscious programs itself to expect those conditions. For example, someone who always says, "I get sick every winter," has trained their subconscious to prepare for sickness when that season comes. The body follows the pattern, and sure enough, illness appears. But when a person begins to shift their words and declare, "My body is strong, every season is a season of health for me," the subconscious receives a new instruction. At first, it may resist because it has been conditioned by years of the old pattern, but repetition overrides resistance. With time, that new confession becomes the dominant program. The body receives it as law, and it begins to function accordingly. The nervous system, the immune response, even the cellular activity align with the belief that has been spoken and reinforced. What makes confession powerful is not just the words themselves, but the persistence with which they are spoken. The subconscious mind does not change overnight. It has been conditioned for years, sometimes decades, by the words spoken over it. To change that programming, you must repeat the truth again and again, until it penetrates deeply enough to replace the old thought patterns. Each time you declare, "I am whole, I am healed, I am full of life," you are chiseling away at the old programming and carving a new pathway in your brain. Science calls this neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to rewire itself based on repeated thought and speech. Every confession strengthens new neural connections, which over time become the default setting of your subconscious. The stronger those pathways grow, the more your body is compelled to operate in harmony with them. Consider how the body reacts when someone hears a repeated negative message. Stress hormones rise, the immune system weakens, and energy drains. Now consider how the body reacts when it hears repeated positive, life-giving declarations. The mind releases calming chemicals, the immune system strengthens, and energy increases. This is not imagination. It is the physiological response to what the subconscious is being told to believe. Healing confessions operate like medicine for the soul. They regulate emotions, stabilize thoughts, and transmit instructions that reach into the cells of the body. They remind every part of you that health is your natural state and that wholeness belongs to you now. The body listens to the mind more closely than it listens to anything else, and the mind listens to the words you consistently speak. If you want to direct your body toward healing, you must take control of the stream of language you allow to flow every day. This is why many people experience cycles of sickness or weakness, not because the body cannot recover, but because the subconscious has been trained to accept those cycles as normal. Healing confessions break those cycles. They introduce a new pattern, a higher expectation, and a stronger command that instructs the body to step out of old limitations and into new possibilities. There is also a rhythm to confession. Just as exercise conditions the muscles, confession conditions the subconscious. You cannot work out one time and expect to have lasting strength. In the same way, you cannot make a declaration one time and expect permanent change. Transformation comes through repetition. The more often you speak life, the more natural it becomes, and the more quickly your subconscious accepts it as truth. With time, these confessions stop feeling like effort and start flowing automatically. At that point, your body is being consistently instructed by a stream of life-filled messages, and the results begin to multiply. One of the most profound effects of confession is the shift it creates in self-perception. A person who has always seen themselves as weak begins to see themselves as strong. A person who has lived with sickness begins to envision themselves as whole. This new identity becomes embedded in the subconscious, and the body aligns with the identity it is given. The words you speak about yourself are painting the picture your body will live by. If you continually paint the picture of wholeness, your body will eventually rise to match it. If you paint the picture of limitation, your body will live within that limitation. Healing confessions are like a compass for the subconscious mind. They point it in the direction of life, and the body, like a ship, begins to follow the course. Even if storms of symptoms come, the compass remains steady. As long as you continue to confess the truth of healing, the course does not change, and the body continues to move toward wholeness. The more consistent you are, the stronger that compass becomes, until no amount of temporary setback can pull you off course. The subconscious accepts the destination as inevitable, and the body marches steadily toward it. This is why confession must be intentional, deliberate, and persistent. Every word is a seed, every repetition is water, and every day of consistency is sunlight that strengthens the growth. Over time, the subconscious becomes saturated with the truth of healing, and once it accepts this new reality, the body has no option but to follow suit. Every time a person speaks words of weakness, disease, or fear, they are unknowingly entering into an agreement with those very conditions. The tongue signs contracts that the body is then required to honor. When someone constantly repeats phrases such as, "I always get sick," "I can't handle this," or "I am falling apart," they are reinforcing a cycle of limitation and creating a self-fulfilling prophecy that eventually becomes their lived experience. The subconscious receives those words as instructions, and the body interprets them as permission to yield to frailty, sickness, or decline. What you say repeatedly becomes what you unconsciously expect, and what you expect begins to manifest. The power of confession lies in recognizing that every word is either strengthening chains of limitation or breaking them. Healing confessions function as a force that tears up contracts with sickness and writes new agreements with health, vitality, and energy. The agreement with limitation often begins subtly. A person might casually complain about their pain or describe themselves as always tired, without realizing the effect of those casual words. What begins as a small phrase, repeated enough, becomes a binding expectation that shapes how the body performs. Over time, this agreement with limitation solidifies into an identity. I am just a weak person. I've always been prone to illness. This is just how my body is. The tragedy is not that the body fails, but that the person unknowingly handed over authority to weakness with their words. Healing confessions disrupt this process by replacing limitation with strength. They reframe identity, shifting the perspective from being a victim of the body to being the commander of it. When you declare, "I am strong, my body is full of energy, I walk in wholeness," you are breaking old contracts and enforcing new ones. It is important to realize that the body is obedient. It does not argue, it follows the dominant instructions it receives. If the dominant instruction is fear, it will respond with tension and vulnerability. If the dominant instruction is health, it will respond with resilience and renewal. Healing confessions must therefore be deliberate, intentional, and consistent. They send clear signals that your body is not permitted to remain in weakness, but must align with vitality. In this sense, healing confessions act as a declaration of authority. They tell every system in the body, immune, nervous, muscular, and cellular, that they must come into harmony with health. Breaking agreement with limitation also requires vigilance. You cannot build life with one set of words and tear it down with another. Many people sabotage themselves by speaking life in one moment and then undoing it with careless speech in the next. They declare, "I am strong," but later say, "I feel so weak and useless." These contradictions confuse the subconscious and dilute the effectiveness of confession. The key is consistency. Just as a judge issues a verdict with authority, your confessions must be unwavering. Each declaration of life is like striking a gavel that confirms the law of health over your body. The more consistent the declaration, the stronger the law becomes, and the weaker the pull of limitation grows. There is also a psychological release that happens when you break agreement with limitation. Many people carry emotional attachments to sickness, whether from years of identifying with it or from the sympathy and attention it brought them. Letting go of those old agreements can feel uncomfortable at first because it means releasing an identity that has been carried for a long time. But once you begin to consistently confess life, you create a new sense of identity, one rooted in strength, vitality, and confidence. That identity carries more weight than any old attachment, and it begins to attract experiences that align with it. The practice of healing confessions also realigns the inner dialogue. Most people have a constant stream of thoughts running through their mind, and unfortunately, much of that self-talk is negative. By speaking words of life out loud, you interrupt that stream of negativity and implant new, empowering thoughts. The sound of your own voice declaring health and strength penetrates deeper than silent thoughts alone. It creates a vibration that the body hears and responds to, reinforcing the new agreement with wholeness. Over time, this external confession becomes internalized until it is the automatic voice of your subconscious. Breaking agreement with limitation requires patience, because the old patterns may try to resurface. Symptoms may linger, feelings of weakness may still arise, but confession is not about denying reality. It is about overriding it. Each declaration of life is like striking a hammer against a wall of limitation. At first, the wall may not seem to move, but with persistence, cracks form, and eventually the entire structure collapses. The more you confess strength, the more you weaken the grip of sickness. The more you declare vitality, the more you dismantle the old identity of weakness. This is not about pretending. It is about enforcing a higher reality with the authority of your words. Every time you speak healing confessions, you are not just changing your vocabulary, you are changing your agreements. You are tearing up contracts with fear, doubt, and sickness, and replacing them with contracts of health, peace, and strength. The body, obedient to authority, must eventually yield to the new agreements it has been given. The subconscious, once programmed by limitation, gradually accepts the new identity and instructs the body to follow suit. And as you persist in these confessions, the chains of weakness break one by one, until only strength and wholeness remain as the dominant reality shaping your life. Wholeness is not something far off in the distance, reserved for a future time when all the conditions of life are perfect. It is a present reality that you must learn to embrace and confess as though it already belongs to you. Too often, people delay their healing by placing it in the future. They say things like, "One day I will feel better. When the pain leaves I will be whole." Or, "Maybe in time I will recover." By speaking this way, they push health and wholeness further away because the subconscious mind takes those words literally and programs the body to wait. The key to transformation is to stop waiting and to begin speaking as though wholeness is here now. You must speak it, believe it, and carry yourself as if it is already true, because when you do, your body begins to align with the present reality of health, instead of the delayed promise of someday. Wholeness is not something you earn, it is something you step into by agreement. The moment you confess, "I am whole," you are not making a wish, but declaring a fact that already exists in the unseen dimension of life. This unseen reality is more powerful than what you feel in the moment, because feelings change, but truth remains. The body may show symptoms, but symptoms are temporary. Wholeness is eternal. When you confess it as present, you are aligning your life with what has already been established, and your body is compelled to catch up. This is why it is so important to speak from the standpoint of already having what you desire. If you keep speaking as though you are waiting, you remain in waiting. But when you speak as though you are already healed, you pull that reality into the now, and give your body no option but to move toward it. The language of the present tense carries tremendous power. Saying, "I will be whole," places healing on hold, but saying, "I am whole," activates the body to function as though wholeness is already a fact. It gives your subconscious a clear signal that this is not a hope for the future, but a truth to be lived in today. Over time, this conviction begins to rewire your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone waiting for change, but as someone already embodying it. The body, always obedient to the dominant identity, begins to follow the image you hold of yourself. You may notice subtle shifts, more energy, less pain, faster recovery, because your body is responding to the authority of your words. Living in the reality of present wholeness also changes how you carry yourself in daily life. When you confess that you are whole now, you begin to act with greater confidence, you carry more peace, and you expect better outcomes. This shift in mindset alters the chemical environment of your body. Stress hormones decrease, healing hormones increase, and your nervous system calms down. By speaking wholeness as your present state, you are not only changing your thoughts, but also influencing your biology. The body thrives in an environment of peace and expectation. Your confessions create that environment every time you declare health and vitality as your current reality. It is also important to understand that confessing present wholeness is not about denying what you feel. Acknowledging symptoms is not wrong, but giving them the final word is. The key is to acknowledge the reality of symptoms, while refusing to allow them to define you. You may feel weak, but you declare, I am strong. You may sense pain, but you confess, I am whole. This is not denial. It is alignment with a greater truth. It is choosing to give your words to the reality you desire, instead of to the conditions that try to hold you captive. Over time, your words override your feelings, and your body begins to obey the truth, rather than the temporary condition. This principle also reshapes the way you approach challenges. Instead of being discouraged when symptoms persist, you are reminded that wholeness is already present. You keep confessing, not because you are trying to create healing, but because you are enforcing a reality that already belongs to you. Each confession is like a reminder to your body that it must align with what has already been declared. This persistence eventually wears down resistance. Just as water can carve stone through steady dripping, consistent declarations of present wholeness carve away the old patterns of sickness until only strength remains. Confessing wholeness as a present reality also dismantles the mindset of waiting. Many people spend years hoping and waiting, never realizing that waiting keeps them in delay. When you speak and believe that you are already whole, you collapse the distance between desire and manifestation. You bring the future into the now, and that immediacy generates momentum in your body. Your subconscious stops operating in a state of delay and begins to instruct your body to behave as though wholeness is already secured. This is why some people experience sudden shifts when they change their language. The body hears the new command and responds quickly because the authority of the present is far greater than the uncertainty of the future. To hold this perspective consistently requires discipline. The temptation to look at symptoms and speak based on them will always be there. But if you want your body to manifest wholeness, you must choose to speak as though it is already here. You must become unshakable in your conviction that wholeness is your present reality. Every time you confess this truth, you are strengthening the bridge between what is unseen and what is seen. Each word builds the foundation for your body to stand upon until the evidence of wholeness becomes undeniable in every part of your being. Healing confessions are not meant to be a one-time statement or something spoken only when you feel inspired. They are designed to be a continual discipline, a daily practice that becomes as natural to you as breathing. Just as you nourish your body with food every day and strengthen your muscles with regular movement, your health and wholeness must be nourished and strengthened with consistent words of life. The daily discipline of speaking life is what keeps the stream of healing flowing. It creates momentum that builds over time, and it prevents the old patterns of weakness and sickness from reestablishing themselves. When you speak life daily, you are not simply repeating phrases, you are training your mind, instructing your body, and setting the tone of your entire day. Discipline is what transforms a principle into a lifestyle. Anyone can speak healing words once in a while, but those who experience lasting transformation are those who make it a non-negotiable habit. They understand that words build upon themselves, that each confession is like a brick laid upon another, forming a structure of health that becomes stronger with each declaration. If you speak one day and neglect the next, the structure remains weak and unfinished. But if you speak faithfully every day, your words form walls of strength around your mind and body that no sickness can easily penetrate. It is the steady, persistent flow of words that produces lasting change. Speaking life daily also helps to anchor your focus. The world around you is constantly bombarding you with messages of fear, weakness, and decline. Conversations, media, even casual remarks from others can fill your mind with words that contradict the truth of healing. Without a daily practice of confession, it is easy to absorb those negative messages until they take root in your subconscious. By making healing confessions a daily discipline, you are countering the noise of the world with the power of your own words. You are reminding yourself who you are, what belongs to you, and what reality you choose to live in. This practice guards your mind against doubt and keeps your body aligned with strength. It is not only about repetition, but also about intentionality. Each day you choose to speak life, you are making a deliberate decision to invest in your health. You are affirming that you are not at the mercy of chance or circumstance, but that you hold authority over your body through the power of your words. This daily decision builds confidence, and with confidence comes peace. The more at peace you are, the more your body relaxes and functions at its best. Stress, fear, and worry are toxins to the body, but daily confessions of life cleans those toxins by flooding your system with words of assurance and strength. Over time, this discipline reshapes your inner dialogue. What you say out loud begins to echo inside your mind until it becomes the automatic voice you hear throughout the day. Instead of thinking, "I feel so weak," your inner voice begins to say, "I am strong." Instead of fearing decline, you begin to expect renewal. This shift is powerful because the subconscious mind is most influenced by repetition, and the voice it hears most often is your own. By filling your own atmosphere with daily confessions of life, you are saturating your subconscious with a new reality that inevitably spills over into your physical health. This discipline also creates resilience. Life will always bring challenges, unexpected symptoms may arise, and old patterns may try to resurface. But when you have built a lifestyle of daily confession, you are already prepared. You do not wait for the crisis to decide what to say. Your words are already trained, your mind is already conditioned, and your body is already aligned with the truth of health. This is why consistency is so vital. It builds a foundation strong enough to withstand whatever storms may come. A single declaration can encourage you in a moment, but a daily practice fortifies you for a lifetime. Healing confessions, when practiced daily, become more than words. They become part of your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone struggling toward health, but as someone who lives in health as a natural state. This shift in identity is one of the most transformative outcomes of discipline. Once your subconscious accepts health as your identity, your body begins to operate in harmony with that identity. Every cell, every system, every function of your body responds to the conviction that health belongs to you and that wholeness is your natural condition. The discipline of daily confession is also cumulative. Just as saving a small amount of money consistently builds wealth over time, speaking words of life daily builds a wealth of health in your body. Each day may seem small in itself, but the effect compounds. Weeks of discipline turn into months, and months turn into years, and soon your entire lifestyle is shaped by the strength of your words. What once felt like effort becomes effortless, what once required focus becomes natural, and what once seemed distant becomes reality. This is how a daily discipline transforms your life, not with one dramatic moment, but with steady, consistent application that rewrites your future one day at a time. To practice this discipline effectively, you must also create structure. Set aside times in the day when you will speak your confessions, perhaps in the morning before your day begins, at night before you sleep, and even in the middle of the day when you need strength. By attaching your practice to these moments, you ensure that your words are not forgotten or neglected. Over time, it becomes second nature, and the discipline no longer feels forced but flows as a natural rhythm of your life. Each day you rise, you know that speaking life is as essential as eating or breathing, and with each word you are building strength, reinforcing wholeness, and commanding your body to remain in alignment with vitality.